how tax evasion was allowed to soar under the Conservatives. We're going to read into this piece from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of How Tax Evasion Was Allowed to Soar Under the Conservatives. I imagine it's because they just loosened all the rules, I would suppose, but we'll read more into it. A Darren report reveals the growing number of small businesses and retail outlets have used a series of scams to evade paying tax. What a surprise. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share us across social media so others can notify of this video. Apologies, I'm still not 100% from my throat infection a few weeks ago. I am still recovering from it, so I do apologize. Yeah, I mean, like, I understand that businesses and small businesses and certain outlets may be struggling. I totally understand that. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling individually, cost of living crisis and whatnot. But there's a lot of people who are dodging tax. And my gripe is more of the people in the wealthy and the rich, who are the ones who are dodging more tax than anything. They have so many loopholes that they are going through that allow them to get away with so many things. It's insane. Now, they're obviously any small business and retail outlets who are evading paying tax, obviously they need to be chased down as well. But I do feel that the coffers are not as big as they used to be. You also have to remember that 14 years of Conservatives when it comes to the austerity, making life more difficult for people, which is what they have done. And we have all found ourselves worse off as a result of it. Unless, of course, you're a billionaire or millionaire, then it doesn't really affect you. But for those who have to count their pennies every day, it really is quite a massive issue. And I really hope that Labour do more to clamp down on tax evaders, so that the Treasury will have more money in its coffers, from not just obviously in the future, so that it can be used for beneficial benefits of society as a whole. It has been a long-growing problem, but obviously, let's be clear, tax evasion was happening under Labour as well. Not going to say that there wasn't any under Labour. That's just nonsense. But I would say there's been a lot more tax evasion in the last 14 years than there was under Tony Blair's Labour government. But that's here now, or hey say on there. But let's read what they've had to say here in this report from Byline Times. So Rachel Reeves, the chancellor, has inherited a soaring level of tax evasion among small business and retails and online shops. A new report by the National Audit Office reveals today. It shows that tax evasion among these groups have risen from just 66% in 2019 to 81% in 2023. HMRC now loses £5.5 billion in tax revenue each year. Failure to act sooner by HM Revenue and Customs and excuse the Insolvency Centre and the Company House, a decision by the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats coalition in 2011 to make it quick and easy to set up a UK company online from anywhere in the world, leaving, according to the report, the UK vulnerable to tax evasion from fraudulent business. So the coalition government were warned in 2011 and they ignored it. This led to companies registering directors' names after cartoon characters or named after Charles Dickens characters like Scrooge. One director was named in 50,000 companies. My God, the embarrassment. None of these companies were verified by the authorities, and it has taken 13 years until April this year for the last government to bring in verification of directors of new companies registered at Companies House. The report lists a series of scams used by small businesses to evade paying tax. One problem is the development of increasing sophisticated electronic sales suppression computing software, which removes or reduces the value of transactions. This was eliminated to cost the exchequer £450 million in lost revenue, but the figure is 5 years out of date and will not updated until December this year. Other scams including paying for equipment and staff in cash off the books or registering transactions on tills. Companies have been found to be doing this, including thousands of takeaway restaurants and sweet shops. Another big scam is called Phoenixism, which costs HMRC around £500 million a year. This is where a company goes bust to avoid paying debts and taxes and is immediately resurrected as a new company operating in the same address with the same people. I mean, that's one of the most infuriating ones right there. They leave themselves mountain of debts, and then they go bust and they declare themselves bankrupt or whatever, and then they're able to just start again. And nothing's done. Directors who do this risk have been struck off, but only so far 7 directors out of 1,000 have been. Only 7 directors out of 1,000. There's also a scam running an online marketplace where companies based abroad, where they must register for VAT, fraudulent present themselves as UK firms. The last government had tried to stamp it out by making the organisers of online marketplaces check this, but this is still happening. Sometimes this involves hijacking documentation from genuine businesses or falsifying representatives themselves as a UK firm that operates below the £9,000 threshold, VAT threshold, sorry. Gareth Davis, head of the NAFO, said, although tax evasion has been growing among small businesses, HMRC has so far lacked an effective strategic response. Its assessment of risks has given too little emphasis to widely used methods of tax evasion such as sales suppression and Phoenixism. It has also failed to use new powers to tackle tax evasion. A HMRC spokesperson said, we generated a record £843 billion in tax revenue last year, paying for a vital public service everyone relies on. The UK has one of the lowest tax gaps in the world, but the government is committed to reducing it further. The vast majority of businesses pay the tax that's due. We will continue to use our civil and criminal powers against determined minorities who refuse to play by the rules. Such actions help us protect £41.8 billion in the last 12 months. We have also worked closely with partners to include the Insolvency Service and Companies House to tackle evasion in retail and online service. But are you doing enough? And I guess the answer based off this piece is probably no. But there's probably a lot more information out there, a lot more tax evasion out there than what Byline Times is reporting here. We know there's a lot of tax evasion. It's a question of how much are we clamping down on it? How much are we chasing these tax avoiders? And what are we doing to deal with it? I think, yeah, especially when when we're talking about huge amounts of money, the millions to the billions of amount of tax evasion, that's just not acceptable in any way, shape or form. Now, I think most reasonable governments would make sure that such evasion would not be happening. But clearly not enough is being done whatsoever. The picture that they had there on Byline Times was a house of candy shop. Just to give a context for those who don't know. So a lot of American candy shops started popping up around central London. And it was found that a lot of these weren't paying any taxes whatsoever. I can't remember the full story, but they were just able to they were always empty. People never went in them because they were expensive or they just didn't have anybody in. But there was a lot of rumours of money laundering and whatnot in these places. But the thing is, they didn't pay anything. They didn't pay anything. It was just mind-boggling. I think some have gone now, but there's still quite a few in central London. If you look hard enough, you'll find these American candy stores still around. But that is just small compared to some of the amount of tax evasion that people in the UK and those living abroad under UKs and whatnot, the amount is just ridiculous. Well, what do you guys make about the tax evasion in the UK? Are you surprised that it was allowed to soar under the Conservatives? Do you think it's not just them, but you think it's Labour as well that aren't doing enough to tackle with this? Do you think it's because certain businesses, certain political influences or certain media outlets have so much control of the government that tax evasion, more of it being done, is becoming more and more difficult? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.